Good evening. Okay, so a bit of a failure on the stream again. Messing around with my computer settings, but we'll see. I'll have to try yet again tomorrow. So I'm just recording a quick video instead. So a quick update on Bitcoin. Hasn't done much since my last update anyway. Still looking for this weekly demand to get tested. Still bullish, while we're still in an uptrend and just consolidating sideways. Obviously I don't love this swing failure of the highs, but yeah, like while we're not breaking down, while we still have demand, that's not necessarily a massive issue. If we do go up, looking at this 113% fib level, the fib extension, which would be the failed wave, so obviously it doesn't have to fail there, but I'm just looking at that 113 to 127. Box is slightly bigger because I've drawn it on the linear and the log. So I think the bottom is the linear time frame. Hasn't been much action other than that, like really just going sideways, and every tweet from Trump or one of his cronies is causing like pump and dumps within this little range. There was a 4-hour demand that I was looking at for potential longs, 103 level, and it went quite deep inside there. Has left a couple of double bottoms there, so equal lows, so it could go and take out those equal lows, but like I say, you can scalp within this range if you want, but until it actually breaks out of this range, there's nothing too exciting to report. Yeah, weekly demand down there. If we head back in that direction, it is a big zone and there are a few different levels inside it, like near the top, taking out Thursday's low into this 12-hour demand. Then there's a daily, and then there's also like an hourly right at the bottom that I haven't got marked on here. But those are the levels to watch inside there if we retest. US dollar dominance, again, is not really giving much in addition to that, and nor are the Korea or CME charts. Still, as I've said before, we'd like to see US dollar dominance down in here when if Bitcoin makes a new high. So they want to see this down. This is the 61 fib and the 6-month 2 weekly demand below. So yeah, that's about it on Bitcoin. Ether, so update on Ether, the BTC pair is still looking pretty horrendous. We expected this rejection because we had made a new monthly supply and it came off there and made the new low. Would have been nice to see the swing failure, and if this is going to play out like some of the history that I've shown before back in 2019 and the low we had here. But so far no sign of that, and the structure, the local structure is similar, but the bigger structure is quite different. Obviously we've got a much more sort of distributive downtrend going on, but yeah, so while I'm hopeful that we're going to have a reversal on Ether, so far we actually aren't showing any signs of it, and we're still making new daily supply and rejecting it. The US dollar pair, I don't think I updated this last week, but yeah, did make a new 2 weekly supply. So, and we're really struggling even with the level. I was hoping for shorts higher up in this daily supply. Where's that? 3,600, or in the daily at the top there. So I was hoping for shorts in those zones, but it hasn't even got close to those, and is again just forming this little consolidation pattern, and similar to Bitcoin, just messing around in there. It is leaving a decent amount of stops above. We did also leave a CME gap even just at the top of Monday, sorry, that was the weekend, I think. Yeah, so CME closed up here on Friday, so there's a bit of a CME gap still to be filled up there, and there's also a little one just below the lows. So again, just in a triangle, and nothing exciting happening. If we break down, like I would look for potentially taking out the low from Monday, there's an hourly demand, I think, just at the bottom here that I would like to see tested, and potentially look for like longs on there, just see what the reaction is. And failing that, we're looking at the 61 fib, the weekly, and then the monthly demands much lower. Don't think there's much else to say on that. So yeah, really both just Bitcoin and Ether are just forming these ranges. I'm just staying within the range, and need to break out of the local, this weekly very tight range to give us any idea of where price might be going. I can see Bitcoin's dropping again now. I don't think there's much other than that I wanted to say. Ripple, I think I was going to have a quick look at. So And majors in general were mostly bearish, so we had quite a few created a 2-weekly supply, and we saw that on quite a few alts as well. It's very tight on a week 2-weekly supply, and there are 5 days inside them, but they are rejecting. So on the old majors, we see that only on BCH. Actually, we didn't get that on Litecoin, Ripple, or EOS. EOS did hit the alert that I've given previously in my last update, and Litecoin also did, but went through into the higher daily supply in there. Ripple, oh, that's not Ripple. Ripple again, per my last update, you know, we got the breakout of the triangle. It did have it created. It was holding the annual level at the lows. Then it created a 3-week demand. It's also created a 2-week demand. I haven't put a re-entry on this. You can look for a re-entry on the 2-weekly demand if you want. The reason I haven't is because at the moment it's looking like a swing fail of the high, and as I've given in previous updates, Ripple is very, very good at creating triangle fake outs and then going straight back through them if you look at the history. So I drew this in my last update. This is very common, so I'm very wary about putting any long alerts or re-entries in here until I actually see a bounce. The other thing I was looking at on Ripple on the lower time frame is, and so it created a 12-hour supply, and it did swing fail that as well, but it's the possibility of having that triangle fake out on the lower time frame as well. And I did the sort of failed wave 113 fib extension, so potentially looking for if we going to move into here. And so far we're just consolidating here. So yeah, there's nothing really to short there except very low time frame entries. I don't think so. We've created there's no daily supply. There's the 12-hour, which, like I said, got run through. So there's some low time frame signs that it's going to have a bit more of a drop, but again, it's still very early days on this. But yeah, just be wary of that if you're in Ripple longs. Be wary of that possibility of a breakdown. Not much else I want to report on these. I think the updates remain the same. You know, you've seen my alerts. If you followed the last update, you've seen that my alerts are much lower on most of these, and these along with the other alts are very, very choppy. So yeah, again, on the bear side, we had BNB and POL created that 2-week supply and are rejecting. ADA I was slightly more aggressive on and had an entry on this daily demand here, which did give a reaction, but just straight up into 12-hour supply. And again, all these zones are just weak at the moment while we still remain consolidating. So, you know, there's a 5-day supply still holding here, which I had originally alerted for a short. That daily demand gave a bit of a scalp, but didn't get very far. The only one of these that's more bullish is Link. But even that has its own challenges because Link is in a monthly supply in the bigger picture. So, yeah, so if you're taking longs, you're taking longs into monthly supply, which is risky. So again, just still continuing to trade both directions. It does have this weekly demand here. It is holding. The alert I put in was more conservative because it could drop down to the start of this wave again. So I have a new long alert on daily demand in because it's got a weekly. And on still got an alert here on the daily supply above. Don't think there's anything new on those other than what I've just mentioned. I mean, possibly I could add some new alerts now. It's just I've been focused on doing the other alts. Again, the other new majors, DOT, Atom and NEAR, all created 2-weekly supply as well, and all so far have rejected it. So they're just very tight consolidations, but just be very careful of any longs on those. NEAR I did have an alert for the 2-week demand here, but again, obviously it's had its reaction off there and hasn't gone very far. Could still retrace to the start of this up move. It's also a monthly demand as well, actually, to be fair. But again, trap between monthly supply and monthly demand makes it challenging. Sol is probably the one that people are more interested in. So Sol, Obviously, I was bullish on in my last update. We had a bounce on, firstly on weekly demand, which then rejected supply, and then on monthly and annual demand at the lows. So that was my other thing. I didn't mention that on Link. Link was the other one, also had an annual demand bounce at the lows. So Link is worth watching for the bigger longs as well, but it's still in the monthly supply. Sol had a very decent bounce. Okay, so Sol, yeah, a very decent bounce on the annual level here, and monthly demand at the same time, and has gone up and again, but is at this point just swing failed the high. It's made a new 2-week demand and a new weekly demand. Again, my alert, so I added a new alert on the daily down there. Bit more conservative again, could just bounce off the top here on the weekly demand, so you can watch that, and or could hold this 2-week level that it's still trying to hold at the moment. Because there was a swing failure of the highs, I did put in an aggressive short entry for the 12-hour supply in here, so that's still in play. You know, even if that just gets moved down to here, could be a decent move. Obviously, it's high risk being at the highs, but it's going to be very dependent on what Bitcoin does now. Yeah, so 12-hour supply there, potential longs in here if it revisits. I don't think there's much else to say on Sol. And the other new majors, I don't think, again, any new alerts. It was just sticking with the original ones, and you know, if the 2-week supplies reject and I haven't got short alerts in already, then so be it, because I've got many others on many other alts. I will do a proper update of the Ds and Es on the alts yesterday, but just as a quick update for the ones I liked the look of, because I liked a lot more of these, and I don't fully remember all of them now. I'll have to run through the list again, but DAG was one of the ones I liked, so keep an eye on that. It is in 3 monthly supply, but it has had multiple tests on this zone already. This is one of the US altcoins, and it's also only shortable on MEXC. So it has more of a capacity to go up than many other things. So I've got a short alert a lot higher on that and a long alert a lot lower, but it's worth watching in here. It might be a little bit early, might need a bit more consolidation, but you know, keep an eye on the low time frames for that one to see if that can get a bigger move. Yeah, Deep I think was one of the other. Yeah, so Deep is another very strong one. It's like I did get a couple of longs at the lows there, but it's not, it keeps not coming back to test now. But I have added a new long alert on the weekly demand in that. Doggy Coin is obviously one that people are interested in. So Doggy or Dogecoin, depending on what you want to call it, did make an annual demand all the way down here. So I have set an alert down there. If it does revisit, that would be a great area to look for longs. Obviously, it's a big zone, so it can go dip deep into the zone if it wants to. But initially, you're looking at, you know, this top 17 cents to see if we get a bounce there. So I've deleted some of these levels and they keep coming back. I've also set an alert on the all-time high level just for possible breakout or fake out. Within here, it's got 4 or 5 day demand in there, and it's got a 5-day supply and a 4-day demand. So again, it's just in the tight consolidation at the moment. Again, like Sol, Link, etc. I don't necessarily think it's ready to do anything particularly exciting. It may break down from here. We are in resistance. This is an alert that I've had from a long time ago in a big 2-month supply. So I don't want to be longing right now, but you can start looking. Just look at the low again. If you're keen on trading this, you're looking at the lower time frames. Had a very nice move into what would have been a great short on that 3-day supply up there, but unfortunately I didn't have the alert in. But it would have been a great, you know, move your stop to break even and just see what happens, because if it does drop, it's got a decent sized drop that it can do. But so far, I think, you know, we've got a 4-hour demand here. So it took a wick through that 4-hour demand, but essentially it's still holding this structure, the bullish structure at the moment. The local entry, a nice local entry, would be back on that 4-hour demand level if it took out these lows. So if you see a swing fail below these lows and then a reclaim of that orange level at 30 cents, that would be a decent potential long entry if it's going to hold this range up here. So yeah, obviously my bias on Doge is still long. until proven otherwise, but I don't want to long at these levels, I want to long down here. Anything else on this list that was decent? I'm trying to remember. I think, yeah, drift was one I liked, but still would need this to come down into monthly demand before looking for longs on that. ELON was an interesting one actually in the E's. So ELON, let me just check I've got the right chart. So now that's the gate chart. So we did have a long, okay, so back to this chart. So I did have a long off the lows here that you saw because I had alerted that on the gate chart. Then I had another long alert which went, so then I had a short alert actually which went for the 2 month supply, but probably would have been too quick to actually take. And then I had another long alert for this weekly demand retest there. I've set a new alert for this 5-day inside. Obviously this is sort of similar to Trump coin, it's hard to know, like it's going to be volatile and it's hard to know when Elon's going to tweet and do something with it. It's got a new daily demand in here now, so anyone who got in on that low, that's great. You know, you can just hold them with your stop at break even and see. And I'll probably reset this alert for the 2 month supply above there because that wick, I don't know if all the exchanges, and the wick obviously didn't quite hit the level, but I don't know if all the exchanges have hit that. So a new 4-hour demand there as well. So again, you're looking for it to hold through here for another up move. Failing that, 5-day demand now there, and failing that, there's a 6 month significantly lower. Anything else on here? ETC, this was one of the other ones that I was, or I am potentially more bullish on. Let me just go up to the higher time frame. Just when you look at the clean chart, we have this long-term trend line and we've had a reclaim of that trend line drop below it and it's reclaimed it. So again, it's not a perfect trade as yet because it's still got 5-day supply and it hasn't tested it. So we go back to my chart with all my drawings on it. Yeah, so it's still got the 5-day supply in here that you can see it hasn't quite tested yet, but may create 5-day or 4-day demand. I had an alert on the 3-day demand in there as a more aggressive long entry. So you know, it's again at the point it could go either way. We could come up into here and have a rejection and then a retest down in this weekly demand at the bottom of the impulse, or it could just hold through here and go up. It is still, like, from a risk, like the short perspective, it is still under this 3 month supply. However, again, like one of the other ones I mentioned, it does have a couple of hits on that zone now. And this also has the backing of grayscale, so it's like, yeah, again, it's worth looking at the grayscale chart. I won't do that now, but it's worth looking at that just to see if that supports a move up from here. But ETC is a bit like Ripple, can be a bit random and do its own thing, so always worth watching ETC. Right, anything else I wanted to talk about? I'm trying to remember. I mean, a lot of the Ds were actually really interesting. They were mixed. A few of them had 6 month demands, and a few of them were just like ugly and had annual supplies. I think, you know, DYDX was a nasty one. Oh no, that's less horrendous than some of the others. DIM maybe. I don't know. The problem is I can't remember now. Yeah, I think DIM was now created, or at least a 3 month supply in there. But a few of those had an annual supply now, so are just really, in the grand scheme of things, pretty bearish. But yeah, I'll try and do a stream tomorrow. I need to restart my computer and I hope it fixes itself. And I'll try and do a stream tomorrow where I go through all the Ds and Es properly. So yeah, I'll upload this now. Let me know in chat if you have any questions, and yeah, have a good evening.